You can hear Gurmit organizing stuff, but he didn't actually take part in the crime itself.
The big boss is going to be Gurmit. He was much more reserved. He was like a professional.
They forget about you. They don't come visit you. They don't put money in your account. Once you go in, everybody forgets about you until you come back out, and that's when they're going to use you again.
Hey guys, in today's video we'll be taking a look at a gangster dubbed as a godfather of BC, who at one point was running one of the largest drug operations across the west coast and was supplying drugs to all of the major gangs in the lower mainland. Gurmit Dhak was an infamous BC gangster. However, an interesting thing about his story is that he wasn't a big fan of the gangster lifestyle by the end of his career. Police officers who came in contact with Gurmit described him as an anomaly, someone who was only worried about making money and wasn't interested in the other parts of the criminal life, and would even end up warning others of the pitfalls of a life of crime and tried his best to keep his family out of his world. Let's get into it. Gurmit was a quiet kid in school who was said to be respectful towards his peers. His family ran a laundromat and he worked there as a teenager. His interaction with crime started in high school, where he joined Billy's crew, a Vietnamese gang formed by a man named Billy Tran. They were involved in small-time drug trafficking and extortion. He was recruited by a Lotus gang member named Raymond Chan, who lured Gurmit into the life of crime by offering him an exotic lifestyle. Raymond was said to have pulled up to Gurmit's school in a brand new Porsche and told grade 8 Gurmit that if he worked full-time for him, he could have one as well. Chan also told Gurmit that once he was on his team, no one would mess with him ever again, and young Gurmit was sold. His motivation to start a life of crime, in his own words, was money, cars, status, and girls. He wanted to be cool, and joining a gang seemed like the way to achieve all of that. He was soon running a dial-a-dope operation while a student at John Oliver Secondary High School. Gurmit dropped out of school in grade 10, and this was followed by his first arrest. He was with Raymond Chan when the two were caught with a kilo of cocaine and a weapon. However, Gurmit took the charge upon himself to gain respect among his peers in the underworld. He did 9 months in jail for those charges, but once he was out, he had gained a reputation. He was seen as an important figure now, and others were working for him and carrying out his orders. And just a year later came his most significant confrontation with the law. In February 1999, Gurmit was driving a car with an associate when they stopped outside Madison's nightclub. This is when Gurmit lowered the windows and positioned the car in a way that allowed his associate to shoot a 19-year-old man in the head. Upon his arrest, police also found 2 loaded handguns hidden in an airbag compartment of the car. Both guns were linked to another shooting just a couple months ago outside an East Vancouver nightclub. Gurmit was convicted of a second-degree murder, but his charges were later reduced to manslaughter upon appeal. His sentence got reduced to 7.5 years in prison, and he ended up serving 4 years of the sentence. Despite his rising convictions, Gurmit remained close to his family, and during the sentencing, the judge showed optimism that with the support of his family, he can change paths and not let him down again. That was not the case, however. In fact, now his younger brother Sukh Dhak was also trafficking drugs. Gurmit didn't want his brother to get mixed with the guys he was doing business with, because of the dangers that came with their lifestyle. However, the younger Dhak was even bolder, and by the time Gurmit got out in 2005, Sukh was basically running things. The brothers were operating pill factories out of East Vancouver and produced huge amounts of MDMA, which was a known specialty of Indo-Canadian gangs. Gurmit Dhak was also close to a longtime gangster named Tom Gisby, who had been dealing with Colombian and Mexican cartels for 20 years. With this connection, Gurmit was involved in cocaine trafficking for years, and through him, the Dhak brothers had all kinds of drugs ready to sell. Due to the massive scale of operations, the Dhaks were doing business with everybody. All other groups like the UN, the Red Scorpions, and even the biker gangs came to them to get their drugs to sell. At the peak of his powers, Gurmit Dhak was reported to be running one of the largest drug lines in the country. The brothers ended up forming their own crew known as the Dhak Group, with Gurmit arranging things and Sukh carrying out the deals. Members of the Dhak Group were presented with sets of beads, given to them by either Gurmit or Sukh, for their loyalty and the money they were bringing in. According to witness testimonies, these beads were made up of white gold balls with Chinese writing on them, likely indicative of Gurmit's connections with the triads. Each set of beads were said to cost about $5,000 to $6,000. But as Gurmit's prominence rose, so did the threats to his life. The first major attack on his life came in 2005 when his SUV was shot up outside of a strip club in East Vancouver. He was stopped by the police on his way back, but refused to cooperate and threatened the policeman with bodily harm and death. He was charged for his confrontation with the police. While Gurmit was dealing with all the main gangs of the region, things got a little heated when the infamous Bacon brothers of Abbotsford moved into Surrey. The brothers who were allegedly heading the Red Scorpion gang at the time started running dope lines and recruiting people close to the Dhak Group. A protected witness later testified in court that the Dhak brothers did not like the Bacons moving into Surrey. However, Gurmit worked out an arrangement with the Bacons which allowed both the Red Scorpions and the Dhak Group to continue operations in Abbotsford and Surrey. Gurmit was, however, still controlling much of the Surrey territory and making an insane amount of money. On paper though, he was a business owner, registering his company GS Global Contracting in January 2007. In September of the same year, Gurmit was the target of another shooting. He was at a birthday party with 25 other people when a masked gunman opened fire. Gurmit received injuries in the attack, but like his previous shooting, he refused to cooperate with the police yet again. While he had apparently made peace with the Bacons, there's no shortage of enemies in gang rivalries. The alliances are often fluid and change all the time. Gurmit was well aware of the dangers of the life he had chosen. Gurmit had told police officers, quote-unquote, "Every day I've got to look over my shoulder." Around the same time, he had formed an alliance with the Dhak brothers, who had an 100-man strong gang and were in alliance with the UN. Together, the three formed the Dhak-Duhre UN alliance to counter the growing influence of the Wolfpack alliance. It was an increasing list of enemies that made Gurmit contact the UN gang. He already had affiliations with the UN gang through his longtime associate Billy Tran and the Dhak brothers. He contracted the UN leader Conor D'Monte to kill 3 people: a man named Teddy Kim, independent soldier boss Randy Naicker, and Jonathan Chan of the Wolfpack Alliance. Away from his gang rivalries, Gurmit was still living a lavish lifestyle and continuing his drug trafficking operations. In December 2008, 9 Vancouver gangsters associated with Gurmit, including his brother Sukh, were convicted of trading drugs and guns when police seized $2 million worth of guns and drugs in a year-long investigation. Gurmit was the alleged mastermind of the operation. And less than a year later, in 2009, Gurmit bought a Burnaby penthouse for nearly $600,000 and had 2 new leased cars. It was always about making money for Gurmit. One of his former parole officers described him as an anomaly because he wasn't interested in any of the other stuff apart from the money. His parole officers said, quote-unquote, his attitude was make money, not war. He was old school, he was well respected. He didn't cross people, he just wanted to make money. He was an anomaly really, none of them are like that now. However, you can't pick and choose which parts of the life you want, and all of it comes at a price. Gurmit's life of crime caught up to him on October 16, 2010, outside of the Metrotown Mall. Gurmit was sitting in his luxury SUV in the mall parking lot when he was shot in the face, which is often the mark of a professional hit. No one has ever been charged in the connection with his death. However, sources speculate that the attack was in retaliation for the May 2009 shooting of Independent Soldiers leader Peter Odiwal when he was shot 26 times but miraculously survived. Tragically, Gurmit Dhak left behind twin daughters and a pregnant wife. Just a few months prior to his murder, he had agreed to take part in a documentary to teach kids about the hazards of joining gangs, and in that documentary, Gurmit seemed to have predicted his own death, saying things like, quote-unquote, "I've got to worry. If I jump out of my car, am I going to get shot? Or I could be walking in the mall and walking out and get shot. I don't know." Gurmit Dhak's death was described as a fatal flashpoint that ignited a bloody gang war leading to years of gang violence, killings, and shootings between rival groups. 6 people were caught in a parking lot planning revenge for Gurmit's slaying on the day of his funeral. The plan did not succeed, however, several gang members were killed in the back and forth retaliation over the next couple of years, including the infamous shooting that took the life of the eldest Bacon brother, Jonathan. Jonathan Bacon's shooting was allegedly approved by Gurmit's younger brother, Sukh, who is now the head of the gang. He was apparently pressured to take revenge for his brother's death right from the day of Gurmit's funeral. At his brother's funeral, Sukh Dhak reportedly told a police officer, quote-unquote, "All they want me to do is kill the guys who killed Gurmit. All I want to do is bury my brother." The gang rivalries and revenge hits also took the life of Sukh Dhak in November of 2012. Gurmit was very close to his family, and the first time he went to jail, he had told the police officers to save his brother from this lifestyle. And sadly, the future he feared for his brother had come true. Gurmit Dhak, in the final months of his life, seemed to have regretted his decision to join a gang, saying, quote-unquote, "If I could turn back time, I would never join a gang. I would have just finished off my high school, got a better job, anything else. Anything is better than joining a gang. It is useless, you are going to get killed," he said in his Odd Squad interview. Gurmit Dhak was lured into a life of crime while in his teens because it looked rewarding and lavish from the outside. However, he soon found out that this wasn't the case and ended up feeling trapped. He advocated for more awareness about gangs in schools and didn't want anyone else to make the same mistake he did ever again. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more in the future. It helps out the channel so much. Also comment down below what you would like to see next. Thanks for watching and have a good one.